clarified who I am. So this is the Children in Needs of Special Healthcare Needs Network. So starting here with parent to parent, I don't know how many, by a show of hands, how many people know parent to parent? Okay, same person. Okay, so parent to parent is a really cool program that we have here in Wisconsin where any parent who has a child with a special health care need can apply to get support from another parent who has a child who's similar to their own. So when I say similar to their own, it might be the same diagnosis, like being able to get support from another parent that has a child with FASD, but it also might be like you're coming up, I don't know what's happening in your own children's lives, but maybe you're getting a G-tube placed and you're freaking out about that and you'd like to talk to a parent who's gone through that process before. Their data bank is such that they can match by whatever it is that you're interested in talking to a parent who's gone through X before. So you can get to parent on the web. There's actually you can register with them right there on their website, and they'll match you with a parent who's been trained to support parents who are going through similar situations. I feel really ridiculous telling you about Family Voices when the co-director of Family Voices is sitting in the back of the room. Oh, great, thank you. So Family Voices, directed by Barbara Katz and Liz Heck, is our, we'll call it family advocacy program in the state of Wisconsin. They do a great deal of work, and wonderful work that it is, with our making sure that the family's voice is heard. So a lot of work in legislation, making sure that our families who have lived experience are being heard when we're passing laws and making decisions about laws that will impact those families. They also have quite a few good training programs. They have a program called What's After High School, which helps families prepare for that stage of their child's life. They have a program called Did You Know Now You Know, which talks a lot about benefits and insurance programs and what you need to know to do that. They also have a webcasting of coordinating your child's health care, which we'll talk a little bit about shortly because that's part of a medical home model. They also on their website, if you go to their website, have something called fact sheets, F-A-C-T, fact sheets, which cover a wide range of topics and are written in friendly language that anybody can understand. So I highly encourage you to go there. No, there is not.
There are not fact sheets about specific conditions. There are fact sheets more around partnering with physicians and how to navigate different systems, including Medicaid and private insurance, long-term support waivers. We are across disability, and so don't focus our information on specific conditions.
Great answer. Thank you. This map represents our 5 regional centers. So we have a regional center in every shaded area of that map. Regional centers are available. They have INR staff, information and referral staff available to answer parents and provider questions. So they get calls throughout the day from parents of a wide variety of children with wide variety of disabilities, as well as providers who are trying to help their patients and aren't sure where to go. What's really cool about our regional centers is they're not going to just give you a referral number and say goodbye, good luck, adios. They're going to follow up with parents in 2 weeks and say, did that work? Did you connect with the folks that you needed to connect with? What was that experience like? What else is going on in your family right now that I can help and support you with? So it's more than just a phone call. It's more than just a number. The other piece is that they're tasked with vetting those referrals ahead of time. So they should never be giving a family a referral that is going to end up in another phone call. They will have already called that referral source, made sure that they're going to meet the need of this family that's calling and asking for support. So Tim Markle is here. I'm just going to, laser him. Ouch. He's here today. He's the director of our Southern Regional Center, which is the one in red down here, or orange, or rust. And he'll be on our panel today and can answer more questions. Also has brought the Regional Center brochures, so you should all take one of those home with you today. Well, Badger is a new program with us just in this last year, which is another INR service. So they're housed in the Wisconsin Well Woman Federation. No. Well Woman Program. I thought it was. There we go. Wisconsin Women's Health Foundation. And so they also have INR specialists available, and they cover the whole state. So they're a great place to start with basic questions. I'm sorry, information and referral. I mentioned it earlier. Gotta be listening. We're moving quick here. I'm just teasing you. So Health Transition Wisconsin, they're tasked with working on the issue of supporting children who are transitioning from pediatric to adult care. So not an easy task, not at all an easy task, even for what we call typically developing children. Once you turn 18 and your parents can't fill your prescriptions anymore and your parents can't make your appointments anymore, and sometimes your parents can't even go into the office without written permission anymore, it's a traumatic experience for a 18-year-old. What did I just do? If they didn't plan ahead. Can you make it go big again? I must have hit some button. So they're working directly with providers throughout the state to try to help them know what it takes to help successfully transition a child. Even if they're staying with the same doctor, it doesn't matter. There's still a lot that will change at that point. And, you know, for 18 years, they may have been seeing the same doc, and mom and dad have been there to support all of those conversations, and that magical birthday happens and everything changes. Sometimes they have to change their primary provider. Sometimes they'll stay with their family doc, but still a lot of things happen there. ABC for Health is Advocacy and Benefits Counseling for Health. They're a program that helps with any insurance questions, any Medicaid questions. You have a claim that's been denied that you know is not right. You know that that should have paid for that. ABC for Health is where you turn. Yes?
They need, like, being able to take guardianship. So you can make those decisions, you know, when they turn 18.
Right, and we have a program called the Board for Persons with Developmental Disabilities here in the state of Wisconsin, and they do a lot of work on guardianship and supported decision making. There is a fact sheet with Family Voices on supported decision making, which will help families figure that out. It's not one of our programs, but it's one of our partner programs that we work very closely with, so that. Yeah.
Once they turn 18,
boom.
Yeah, you gotta get it done beforehand.
Yeah, you have to get it done, or you have to really have some time to think about, is guardianship necessary, or are there other ways that we can support this young adult without going the full-fledged guardianship? So yeah, you're absolutely right. And if you call our regional centers, all of those staff can help families figure that out and walk through that. Yes.
Around supported decision making, and there is now a legally recognized supported decision making tool for people who want to look at something as an alternative to guardianship. And so we have that information on our supported decision making fact sheet, and it's something that is brand new in the state and might be a very appropriate intervention for folks who have FASD as opposed to just automatically going to full guardianship. Full guardianship still might be the most appropriate decision, but know that there are options around that. So I just want to mention that.
And how long educated are those people on FASD that an alternative?
So I guess, and what I'm going to say in the panel, so I'm going to put a pause on that.
We can have that more in-depth question and answer. Yeah.
So I don't want to hijack your
Okay, and then so now we're at medical home, which is what I mentioned referenced earlier. Created the brochure that's in front of you. So they're a team of staff that are trying to get this concept of a medical home throughout the state. They have, in fact, right now, provider programs, any kind of doc who works with kids with special health care needs. And if you have docs that do a lot of work with kids with FASD, I would encourage them to apply. We have grants currently out, $20,000 grants, to work with us for a year to use the shared plan of care in their practice so that they get our assistance with them. We'll partner with them for a year to work with them to, kind of upload this concept and get it into their practice. We take the applications, and so how many clinics can we serve in the state? Upwards to 10 to 20 at most a year. Yes.
Do you anticipate a lot of people being interested?
We've been running these grant programs for, if anybody in the room knows, 5 years, 10 years, 5 to 10 years.
How's the interest level
Good. Good. I do another presentation where I have a slide of every clinic in Wisconsin that's worked with us, and we've got quite a few that have. But what we're really looking, we also work with all of the Native American tribal health centers, and then any competitive grantees that apply. So we've got quite a widespread, and we're getting into more and more specialty clinics like diabetes, rheumatology, types of situations. But we're also putting an extra effort this year to getting into clinics that serve underserved populations, so minority or what are those qualified healthcare centers that serve low-income families, so that we're trying to get more and more spread. Okay, so I talked about our regional centers. Tim will mention more about that. Again, this is what is a medical home, and so it's the coming together of the doctor, the family, and all of their resources, including what we are is where we're standing with community resources. So a medical home is making sure that all of those things are coming together to support the child. I talked about a shared plan of care, and I referenced the importance of family. So the first one is that medical summary. And this is something you can write as well as a doc can write. Write it together. They can write it without you. But a shared plan of care, by definition, includes that medical summary. And then, as I mentioned, really important, it includes family and youth strengths and preferences. So regardless what the doc thinks is the absolute most important thing we do next for your medical care, it needs to match up, what in the world? With the family strengths and preferences. And then finally, you create a negotiated plan of action, right? So it's not just what the doc says, it's not just what the family wants, it's a negotiated plan of action. Whatever the goals are between now and our next appointment, what's going to happen, what are your goals beyond the next appointment that we're moving towards, right? So this is a document, and the whole point of it being shared is that you can then share with, say, the staff at school so that they know what's going on in your plans for your child's health to meet the other goals that the child has in their lives. I'm going to spend the rest of my time talking about care maps, and this afternoon you have some time set aside to actually do care maps, correct?
And Anne wants to have a little presentation on her experience in the care maps with her. I have my care map.
Lovely.
Loaded.
Yeah, this will take me just a couple minutes. All I was going to do is tell you what a care map is, and it sounds like we've got some experts in the room that have done them. And we're going to have time later today for families to do care maps. It's a visual depiction of what's going on in the life of your child, what kind of supports are available for your child, with your child in the center. What the outcomes of having one of these is it really enhances care coordination. Because when you share this with a doctor or you share this with a school and they start to see the big picture of what's going on in your child's life, they go, oh my goodness. You've got a lot going on. Let's see how we can bring some of this together. It's very family-centered, which is why we endorse it. It clearly helps figure out, so what's our goal for care for this child if all of this is going on in their life? It also helps you start thinking about the future. This is where we are now. Where's our next step? Who else is going to have to be added to the care map in order to meet the needs of the child? And parents continually experience this kind of therapeutic process of just going through making a care map, because now they say, well, now I understand why I never get 8 hours of sleep in a night, because all of this is going on. So what I wanted to share with you is that this is the original one, so to speak. Kristen Lind made this for her son Gabe out at Boston University, and it kind of took off. But this was the original one. This is one from somebody here in Wisconsin for their son named Daniel, and you can see very, very similar. But I also wanted to show you some others that look a little differently. What I like about this care map is it shows that it can be done on the computer. Sometimes people say, oh, I hate my handwriting. I don't want to have to do it that way. You can do it by a computer. Do we have an app for that? Not yet, but somebody here probably could create one. You can also make it any way you want it to look. This is somebody out of Milwaukee that really liked to do it this way. And I'm not going to read what's what because sometimes docs don't like it, that they're just the mud. But anyways, I mean, they're the foundation. They're the earth, the nutritional, the fertilizer. Anyway, you can see how complicated it can be if you have 3 children with special health care needs. This is why I include this one. What I like about Nolan's is up here in the corner, in a very light gray, which I think was probably intentional, they included the future and things that they need to start thinking about in the future for Nolan. So care maps can really be any way you want them to be. And this is all the types of things you can think about when creating a care map. And I have this slide in handout form for later today, so you can have these things kind of in your head as you're creating a care map. And then a list of resources, so I won't take our time with that. So there you have it. I made it before my time was up. Okay, thank you. And again, I apologize for the hecticness this morning.
I don't want to mess it up. So which one are we going for first? Let's see. I think we have care mapping for business with FESD, so we start one. And this is, I'm kind of the CEO of my family. I'll introduce myself. I'm Yurcek. I'm down in Lincoln, Grant County. My husband is a general surgeon. We have 12 children, 6 biologicals that are grown. My youngest daughter has Noonan syndrome. So I was out of Minnesota when the medical home, Minnesota was implementing the medical home in the early she was born in '89. She was the first kid out of the children's hospital on an being with a care team coming together to get her home with an IFSP, and I was with Pacer Center to help do all sorts of things. So we lost everything because of my daughter's insurance. So we said we're going to pay it forward someday. So my husband, we lost, and so he went back to school to become a doc because we're broke, and we adopted a subset of 5. No FASD. Everybody's kind of grown except for I was getting bored. And I learned too much about FASD. And down in Grant County, there's not a lot. The girls were getting older, and I go, why am I wasting my time? And so we thought about adopting, foster care, whatever. Well, we met him when he was 4 months old. He's out of Fond du Lac. His name is Matt. And I hit the ground running with everything I've learned from Becca and put it all together. And Mac is now 8, and this is his current care map. So over here, you'll have autism diagnoses. By the way, for kids with FASD, you can have autism and you can have FAS. People are still, there's doctors in this country and in other countries who would say you can't have both. FASD will not get you much of anything, but if you can get your autism diagnosis or you can get those other, you have to get services under everybody else's umbrella because FASD gets you nothing. So here's his autism diagnosis, his insurance status mandate, his Medicaid autism services, his autism providers, eligibility for services under the umbrella. So here is his state Medicaid provider program. These are the social services and just CTLS waiver, caseworkers, post-adoption supports, all the things that you can wrap him with. Over here will be our insurance, Medicaid, CTLS waiver, SSI eligibility, 4E because he was adopted from the state, different things. Over here would be our insurance map and appeals. It's bad enough we have stuff with our kids all the time, but when you have to fight for everything, it's just part of it. So over here would be all of his medical needs. A person with FAS, full-fledged FAS, there is over 428 diagnoses that can fall under that umbrella. He's seen at 4 different children's hospitals, and so I have them color coordinated with who he sees at which children's hospital. Down here, so there's Mac. We surround Mac, but we also have family needs. So I've kept them separate because I have to be supported to be able to do this, supporting siblings, things like that. So over here, these are his qualifiers under his IEP. There's 13 different. He, at this point, has 5. When schools tell you you can only have 1 qualifier, they're wrong. You can have more than 1, and we're actually working on the 6th. These are his team who've had to become educated to support math and surround math in school. And it's not just his current teachers. They have to be seen in art class, in music class, in the gym class. So we had to teach everybody. But it's not just teaching them. Kids with fetal alcohol have social inadequacies. They're different. They don't know how to make friends. They're seen as behavior problems. Math has at least physical things you can see. So we include classmates and parents of classmates and educate, cross-train, all of that in order to surround Matt so he can be the best that he can be. So let's see. Down here, let's see. Okay, so he gets his Medicaid. School gets his funding from here. Medicaid crosses over into there. So that's why I have them highlighted here. Then down here, we have some of our goals. Inclusion, acceptance, friendship, social skills for him. These are just all of what we try to do for school for goals. And that is where he's at right now. The other thing that I've developed is looking at a timeline. Because our papers get so long that I've created a timeline. By the way, his timeline is 2 sheets of paper, and I had to go across like this in order to get where he's at today. So that's Matt's care plan. This is to Tamara. She's 26. She came into foster care when she was 5. She's the youngest of our SIB set. She lives at home with us. She's 26 now. So we'll go to her plan. So for Tamara, we've avoided. I actually included some of the things that, by being proactive, we kept her out of. So here we kept her out of here. The mental health system and substance abuse issues. We've kept her out of the justice system. We've kept her out of being victimized in the child welfare system and recreating this mess. Because parents with fetal alcohol, the boys get locked up, the girls get knocked up. So here's the Tamara family, supported decision-making, rep payee, functional screen worker, IRIS worker, mentors, death employment, insurance, Medicaid SSI eligibility, waiver, SSI, all that's where her supports come from. Here's primary care provider, dietitian, neuropsychologist. We've been proactive since she was 5. We've avoided the psychiatrist and some of the other things that we had when she was littler, but it didn't work. You can't medicate brain damage. Avoiding getting in and supporting her so then we don't get the secondary effects. So here, caregiver support, training for in collaboration with other parents. Also, here is DVR. They did some training on FASD. Long-term supports and ARIS program, supportive home care, person-centered planning, long-term care plans, community inclusion and FASD communities, and trying to create some friendship for my daughter with some other people with FASD. So that's the Tamara's plan.
Please touch base on DVR at some point.
DVR. Yes. Now this looks completely a normal family, right? My son was the SIB that they said didn't have FASD, the middle one. State football champion, Becky Nationals, never did special ed. They said he was unaffected. They were wrong. So I wasn't, and so here's his plan. Mental health services, no access. Court service system happens because they don't get it. He gets victimized. Employment, he struggles. Can't get help. Insurance support and eligibility ended at 26. Or it ended when the day he left college and he flunked out and cost me $35,000 after he had walked onto the football team, made his position, didn't turn in one piece of paper, and lost his space on this thing. One piece of paper. no one told him he needed to do it. And so then he fell into depression, and you know what happens then. He was walking while black in Kalamazoo, and he was going to kill himself in a park. And they picked him up. And so otherwise he wouldn't be alive that day. So medical neuropsych can't get it. Because even when you do take him, they say, he's so smart. He doesn't have FASD. How can you have 6 siblings who have FASD and he can't? Because as Streisku says, the highest functioning ones are the ones we can't get services to. So what has happened? His needs: housing, food, transportation, money management, coaching. D'Angelo, the kids who are not affected, and his partner who coaches him, and I coach her to make sure that they can work together. But it's our support. It cost me $3,000 a month to keep a roof over their head and keep my son from becoming everything else out there. Fortunately, she's going to be nursed in January. D'Angelo has his insurance license, and he almost lost it because of an allegation that he didn't do, and it was just proven to be false in court by a jury, of a white jury, for something he didn't do within 5 minutes. So, but it cost me plenty. To keep custody of this one cost me $35,000. But there's nothing for him. We need to change what we think FASD is. Just because he's smart doesn't mean he doesn't have an executive function. And so I thought you get to see the different levels, but this is where we need it the most, because most people are those are the ones that are out there that when they fail, because we're blaming them for something that was done. So, any questions?
My daughter is from high school, educational time in school, because she's got a slightly above average IQ, and the school told me constantly that, well, she's so smart. They didn't have to help her with social skills or, any of the sensory, things that she had going on in school or anything. She got a little bit of special education, but the teachers there were so uneducated themselves on FAS that they didn't know what to do. And but it was just a constant, going to IEP meetings where I get all these blank looks like, well, she's so smart. She's a straight A student. And I'm like, well, you don't see her when she leaves school here, but they did see her. They saw plenty of behavior, things going on in school. So
every last places that my kids touch. Every last one of those places is somebody I have to educate. And eventually you start to get some people who get it. But you have to educate the providers because they don't know. And so when you go to an appointment, bring your stuff, bring your sheets, take a couple minutes to educate a little bit about FASD and educate about your child, because it'll help the next kid that comes in.